I've ridden my fair share of sketchy machines over the years, and yeah, I've got the scars to back that up. But oddly enough, one thing I'd never tried until recently was an off-road board. So when I went hunting for one, I ended up discovering the Agent lineup from MBS, a US-based crew that's been doing this whole mountain board thing since way back in 1993. That's right, MBS, short for mountain boards, was born in Colorado and has spent more than 3 decades feeding adrenaline junkies exactly what they're after. So when electrification started creeping into every corner of our lives, it was only a matter of time before they joined the party. What's interesting is that they didn't rush it. They clearly took their time with research and development to make sure whatever they released would live up to their reputation and actually make sense for the kind of riders they already had and the ones they knew would come next. Eventually, that careful approach led to the Agent lineup, which comes in 3 different versions. At their core, they're all the same board, but each one is tuned for different riding styles and terrain. MBS has always focused on mountain-ready, off-road boards, and the Agent simply adds electric power into the mix, and that changes everything. Suddenly, you're not relying on chairlifts or hiking back up a hill after every run. You just point the board where you want to go, tap into the motors, and keep exploring, even across flat ground that would normally be a total buzzkill. One big thing that sets the Agent apart from other electric boards I've tried is battery placement. On boards like Meepo's off-road models, the battery is tucked underneath the deck, so ground clearance mostly comes down to wheel size. MBS goes the opposite route and mounts the battery on top of the board. I'll be honest, I'm usually not a fan of having a pack sitting up there, but in this case, it actually makes a lot of sense. You get way more ground clearance. And since your feet are locked into bindings, you're not shifting around anyway, so it doesn't get in the way. The most affordable option in the lineup is the Agent Air. And true to its name, it's built to be as light as possible. Light enough, in fact, that catching some airtime isn't just a marketing claim. With 2 rear motors pushing out a peak of 5.3 kilowatts, or about 7.1 horsepower, it'll hit a top speed of 41 miles per hour. Even with a 544 watt-hour battery mounted on top, the whole thing weighs just 44 pounds, which is pretty wild for an off-road electric board. Range on the Air is rated at about 21 miles, but once you factor in loose terrain, elevation changes, and how hard you're riding, that usually translates to a couple of solid hours of fun. Of course, things like rider weight and how big your lunch was can play a role too. Price-wise, you're looking at around $2,700, which makes it the easiest entry point into the Agent family. Step up from there and you've got the Agent Explorer. This one costs more, sitting at around $3,700. And while it still runs a single pair of motors at the rear, everything else is turned up a notch. Power jumps to 7.6 kilowatts, range nearly doubles thanks to a much larger battery, and weight climbs to 52 pounds. Top speed stays the same, but this version is clearly built for riders who want to go farther and tackle more varied terrain without worrying as much about running out of juice. With its bigger battery, the Explorer is rated for up to 41 miles of range, though again, real-world conditions will decide how close you get to that number. This model can also be upgraded to all-wheel drive if you want to take things even further, as long as you add another set of motors and follow MBS's setup instructions. At the top of the food chain is the Agent Explorer AWD. This is the fully maxed out version, and it'll set you back about $4,700. Here, MBS handles the all-wheel drive setup from the factory, with 4 motors, 1 at each wheel, delivering a combined 10.6 kilowatts of power. Top speed is still capped at 41 miles per hour, which honestly feels like plenty when you're blasting over loose dirt with power going to all 4 corners. The AWD Explorer uses the same battery as the standard Explorer, but with the extra motors doing their thing, range drops slightly to around 36 miles. Charging times are reasonable too. The Explorer models take about 105 minutes to fully charge, while the Air needs just 75 minutes, which is basically enough time for a decent lunch break. And if that's not enough, you can always grab a spare battery and swap it out, assuming your wallet is ready for that commitment. I could go on about the helical gear motors, the ergonomic remote, the high-voltage controller, and all the little engineering details that make these boards special. But honestly, The only real way to know if an agent is for you is to try one.